Hey, good afternoon. So I wanted to just come in and give you a little overview of like why the portion container system has really worked for me and how, and sort of like the backstory on me and how I got started doing this. So I was feeling really lost at 35 years old with a kid and not taking care of myself, and my body was like in pretty bad shape. It was the worst shape I've ever been for sure. It was the heaviest I've ever been, and I didn't feel good, and I was crabby as all get out. So that's how I ended up finding my coach and getting started with this whole thing in the first place. And when she signed me up, I was totally nervous. I was really afraid to fail. I didn't really have the money to join, but I was so desperate. I was just like asked my partner to help me pay for it because it wasn't working, and she gladly supported me because she knew I needed something to help me take care of myself. So that's how I got started, and my coach just was very, and still is, because I still use her as my coach, very motivated and what's the word? She uses the Portion Fix program and like really helped like push me and pushes all of her new clients to really use it to see maximum benefits from the programs. And I just followed the directions, and it was kind of tricky. There's a lot of information at first, and I just did my best, and I really tried to implement the containers right away, and I just did the best I could with what I had and where I was, and it just sort of like evolved from there. And so that was how I got started with the containers, and I immediately was able to spot the imbalances in my diet. I was eating way too many carbs, not enough protein, and not enough vegetables. And by switching that balance around a little bit, using a container program and adding shakes into my daily routine, I started losing weight immediately and seeing crazy results. So it's not all about results, obviously, but, depending on what your goals are, which is why it's really important to know what your goals are and why you're doing this. I think having a goal to lose weight is fine, but your why should be more deep. Your why should be, I wanted to feel better so that I could be a better mom. Because I was not a bad mom, I just didn't feel good, and it was really messing with my head. And honestly, it was like I was really struggling. So that was really my why. I didn't really care about losing weight at all, to be honest. I mean, sure, that would be great, but I mostly just needed to get my my physical and my mental situation in a much better state. So that was my why. So I encourage you to really think about that. And that is how I got started with the container program. So I used the containers for probably, about a year before Ultimate Portion Fix came out. So I was just doing like the very basic information they gave us and following my plan pretty, not 100%, probably around 80-20 for a year. And I went from like losing to maintaining, and then trying not to lose any more weight. That's part of maintenance, and so that's been an interesting experience. But my weight definitely leveled out now, and I'm trying to just like bulk a tiny bit because between breastfeeding and being diligent with my nutrition and my exercise, I definitely don't want to lose any more weight. So that's a little backstory on me and the way my nutrition was before I got started. Like I said, it was a little imbalanced in terms of like I had been vegetarian for 15 years, and I never put any priority on eating protein. And even though I'd heard it was really important, and the advent of these protein heavy diets, and I always just believed that like that was nonsense. But I found that by balancing out my macros, so balancing out my protein to carbohydrate to vegetable to fruit and things like that, that balancing out helped me balance out my energy like crazy. So I am a reformed protein person, I guess you could call me. And so I think that the biggest value of this program really is finding those imbalances and evening your diet out, and then also the other part is giving you confidence in how to feed yourself well, and to simplify your life, because we all spend way too much time worrying about what we're going to eat and not feeling good, and that whole cycle of like being hungry and eating garbage and feeling like crap and then berating yourself, and like it's just too much. So I was afraid it was a diet and that I wasn't gonna be able to eat anything, and that was totally incorrect. And actually the opposite was true, and it was so much food that I had a hard time eating it all. But then over time I figured out how to eat it in the right schedule, sort of, you know? So it was like I was waiting too long to eat vegetables and I needed to eat more in the beginning of the day. And so that is just an evolution, and it takes time. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that you're not gonna figure this out overnight. In fact, it took me probably 6 months to like really figure it out and find my groove. So be patient with yourself and just do your best. And I really think that if you can drop the all or nothing mindset, which I say a lot, but is so true, like just do your best. Do your best every day. That might look better tomorrow. It might look worse tomorrow. It might, but we don't judge ourselves, and we just focus on progress over perfection. And by doing that, you allow yourself grace, you allow yourself to make mistakes, and you just keep moving. So I decided to become certified in Ultimate Portion Fix because it so drastically impacted my life that I just felt like, why not? Like, why wouldn't I just dive a little deeper and help everybody figure their stuff out? So I have to get going because I'm being summoned by the children. But I wanted to pop in and just give you that overview. So please let me know if you have any questions. And I'm really excited to do this with you.